Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is a weekend review for the week ending August 12th, 2022. We're looking at a weekly chart of the S&P 500. Another continuation week. Ever since the higher low, higher high pattern was broken with a close above 393.16, the bulls have just taken over. I do believe there should be some overhead resistance here at the moving average, but doesn't have to be. It's just an opinion. You can see the momentum in the histogram confirming this. Last time we had a move like this coming off such negative histogram readings, the positive readings continued for a long time. It looks like a breadth thrust type of a thing coming off of a big pullback. Take a look at the daily. Right, I think this is where the bulls are going to have a little bit of trouble. 433. That's kind of been my level the whole time. I do believe that will be a problem. Again, they can capture that. They'll just need volume. So don't have an opinion. I know it's light volume. It's summer. It's normal to have light volume in the summer, and it's normal for the S&P 500 to go up on light volume. None of that's new. So keep that out of the back of your head. That's really just your bias trying to focus on one piece of data and give it more evidence, weight in the evidence approach than it deserves. I will say, look at the ADX. It is confirming this trend mode higher. This bull flag pattern here is in play. And if you just take these little things, they're pretty good. Right? Maybe even a false breakout, right? 440. All the way back up here to where things started to break down. All of these areas are definitely supply. So if this strength continues, what I want to start to do is look at the Bollinger Band. And you can see three standard deviations from mean is my top. And I want to see if we get 3 standard deviations from mean, it's time for a pullback. And that also tells me where price, could be really breaking out, like in this instance. But again, didn't really stop until she got back inside the band. So that's kind of my like termination point, start and end of the move. And this just looks really, really healthy. So there's nothing wrong here at all. Sorry, bears. We'll go right over to the weekly. Yep. I mean, these trends could go for a lot longer. I highly recommend people go back and look at the July, mid-July videos. Nothing's changed since then. It's a continuation week every single week, and now the bulls are trying to capture the 40 on pretty much every weekly time frame. ADX on every weekly time frame, they all look the same, has hit some form of a trough. All that means is that as ADX will flip from here, if price continues higher with ADX flipping up, then this trend has a lot longer to go. If price reverses at the 40 after capturing it, closing it above, then ADX goes up. This PPO curls down at the 0 line, and we've got a lot lower to go. That's definitely how these two could play out. So I'm watching that. But this system-generated composite line is projecting all-time highs on IWM. And it's just going off of 6 years of data, back testing, using the same buy-sell signals to generate these composite lines, right? So I'm just going to give it time to work. I don't have a lot to say this week because everyone is still wants there to be a top. When do we take profit? When is the trend over? It's I have no idea. I don't care, right? At minimum, I'm going to see, and I've showed you guys this in every video for months now. At minimum, I want to see the 510 bear cross. I want to see this yellow line cross below this. And also, I'd like to see price get below the green line. And if they can't do all three, I don't really care to sell. What would cause me to trim? Get 3 standard deviations from mean, right? Which is very rare. It didn't even happen here at the top. But it happened back here, happened back here, happened down here, happened down here. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's adjust the bottom line so that we're not confused. Yeah, so it got 3 standard deviations from mean here, and it ended the move. Got 3, ended the move. Got 3, ended the move. Got 3, ended the move. So plus or minus 3. I mean, it just seems to work often, right? That's kind of the point where the market's a bit, quote unquote, overextended. That's how I measure it. Like, how far from mean are we? Not how high or low is MACD or RSI or stochastics. So yeah, this is what I see on essentially every single chart. IWM is participating. The daily chart, ADX, is approaching a peak, right? Could peak up here at 56. The point is, all of these moves could have another 5%, like SPY, IWM, they could all have 5 more percent. And before we get that pullback. And again, you don't really need to guess. Okay, just let these things play out. You have the weekly trend on your side. Try to identify the strength and then go from there. And I'll show you how we're going to do that here once we cover the 4 majors. Exactly the same, approaching a declining 40 weekly moving average and the 200 on the daily. Nothing wrong here with the trend. A beautiful trend to follow. You could have gotten in at any point when price got above the 40. That was your clue, right? Just like it was back here in March. I know everyone wanted to say, hey, March, you should have been able to predict this. That's not what we do here. We saw that there was a bull trend to participate in, and we participated. And the same thing is happening here again. And it happened here June 27th. We talked about it in real time. And you could have participated in this entire rally without having to guess, without having to use any macro thesis, simply based on the fact that you had a momentum indicator that has been backtested, fire, and you had sentiment at historic lows, which we've covered many times. You don't remember, go back, watch the videos from the beginning of July. We talked about it a lot. So yeah. Guess what? Approaching the declining 200, and the same thing is true over here on SMH. So SMH put in an outside weekly, a little bit different than the others. Broke below, actually not outside, I'm sorry, broke below, closed near the high in the week. Now, like I was saying, right, the ADX is going to hit this trough, which is what happens pretty much every time, and then it reverses. ADX reverses, not price. All right. Now, price tried to reverse, as you saw, and the bulls bought it up. Now this is where ADX starts to rise with price. Just like happened back here at, right, the COVID lows, you had this trough in ADX. ADX went higher and price went higher too. And that was telling you that, hey, we didn't really have a trend yet, or at least ADX is saying there's no trend here with this move higher in price from March to May. Okay, same thing here. From July to August, there's been really ADX not confirming it on the weekly. Now it's starting to confirm a bull trend. And what's scary is every time this tends to happen, these things can go a lot more than most people think. Right? Like even back here in 2018, where ADX hit a trough, flipped up, went all the way back to a peak, and that was a massive 1-year run. All right. And that could be all that we're getting here. It's just a little run. I mean, that's what these composites are saying over and over and over again on all these charts. I do believe SMH and QQQ are the laggards. I think IWM is still the place to be. We'll take a look here at TLT. Broke down, right? The weekly is still long, but I mean, it's 23% versus -3. So it's not doing well going back 6 years. There really isn't a trend. And if you look at the monthly, it's like, yeah, it is going higher, definitely. And that could have just broke here, no doubt. So it's definitely still in an ascending channel. And if you'd like to buy bonds in that, 60-40 traditional portfolio, you can. This is historically a good price. But as long as she's below 121, she could go a lot lower. So that's why I need to see above 121 before I participate. If you go to the daily, we broke down out of this, which means bear flag. That's just how I'm viewing this. If price comes down to here, we find demand. Hey, maybe this is a bullish Harami reversal. I don't know. We'll see. But this is PPO resetting to 0 in an obvious downtrend. So I still don't want bonds. TNX looks really, really interesting. This neckline, they're really trying to recapture, but more importantly, they're really trying to recapture the 40. All right, so price can get back above the 40 here and really back above 310 at a minimum, this key pivot, this gap that was left open, ultimately 324. Then you'll see the gap up here at 350 filled in way higher prices. So 324 has always been the level, and we got that level here from the monthly. If in fact this is some type of broadening pattern, the high back here was 324. So if you're going to find acceptance above this pattern, right, you need to get above the C leg high and definitely above this 348 high. Now you look at this, there's nothing wrong with this monthly chart. 510 still in a beautiful bull trend. And it's just your job to follow this trend. Now, the reason there's still a problem is because this is a potential, like equities are able to rally because this is potentially very bearish. Hasn't been confirmed yet. It'll be confirmed with a close below really 230. And right now the bulls are holding in quite well and could put in a bull flag or some type of ABC on the monthly. But it's going to need a few more months for this one to develop. The reality is we got to get above 310 for the bullish case to make sense, and we got to get below 272 for the bearish case to make sense. And right now they're in between both. So there's no edge, and bonds are telling you that, right? We just looked at them. They don't look great either. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, and then we'll run through some individual charts. So Bitcoin weekly long, looking for that PPO. Got that 510 bull cross that I talk about. All right, and now you've got the bands pinching up, which is what has to happen to get this contraction in volatility. Now, I do believe we hit the bottom. We came in on a monthly basis to the bottom of the Bollinger Bands when they're set to default, not the plus or minus 3, but the plus or minus 2. Tag the bottom of the bands back here in July, closed below the 40, something she's been above the entire career. So this is really the line in the sand. This $26,000 level is the monthly 40. And the monthly 40 has a bear 510 cross and is now below all the monthly moving averages. Not a good look. And this is certainly a bear flag. But here's the thing. These flags, they don't have to go lower. They don't have to go higher. All they're doing is just showing you that they're building energy around a particular channel or price range. And that's what we have here. And so you do have the structure of a bear flag, but the risk of the bear flag is that you go back up and test the high or low of the flagpole, that being back here. And again, that's 32,000. And from the low of 17, the risk for bears to short down here was extremely high. So this is the first level I see on deck, 26,951. That's coming, and that's likely a sell, a strong sell. 25,931 is the pivotal fib of the ABC on the weekly, this corrected pattern. If price can't get above this, it's going to 12,000. All right. And ADX can certainly trough out as price goes higher. And again, the composite line is telling me, I just love this setup. It's projecting to hit this supply line January 22, 2023. Now, again, these things can be wrong. They're wrong often. You can look at that here. The win rate is 54%. The average win is about 100% gain. So the thing is very volatile. You have to size it properly, but this is definitely long. it's something that you can play from the long side. And we'll take a look at how I'm playing that. Right, is I've allocated about 4 or 5% of the portfolio into Riot. And I just absolutely love Riot's win rate. Net profit of 3,790% going back 6 years. Beta's pretty high. Win rate 8 of 18 were wins. The average win was 254%. So again, like you don't have to do what I do, but this is what I do. This is how I look at the market. I'm looking at the market on ways in which I can identify relative strength, ways in which I can identify an objective edge, ways in which I can ride trends for a long time. And I get that this is the risk. You get these periods where it's, hey, we fired long, it was wrong. Hey, we fired long, it was wrong. Hey, we fired long, it was wrong. 4 in a row. But that's what happens. Same thing back here, right? Loss, 2 in a row. 3 in a row, right? And a whole bunch right here. And that's what happens. Like, they throw at you 2 or 3 losses, and then they give you the big win. And by the time they give you the big win, you don't want to participate. That's the stock market. I like Crocs a lot. Why do I like Crocs a lot? Same idea, man. Look, the data backs it up. And if you look at Riot, it's really just a proxy for Bitcoin. If you look at Crocs, it's really just a proxy for IWM. And so this is long. It's going to run as long as IWM runs. This is a channel that which you can participate in. Gets to the bottom of the channel, you buy. Gets to the top, you sell. Type of game. All right. Until when? Until it breaks down. And that's the trade. And you have a trend to trade against that's projecting much, 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 much higher prices. And has just thrown a fake setup right before this one. Right? A bull trap just happened. And now you've got the winner. EMPH. Why is EMPH doing well? Well, because EMPH is really just a proxy for the S&P 500. And when you go back and look at this thing, it's hit all-time highs. And even during the 2022 pain, every dip was bought up, and there was plenty of objective signals you could have traded with and participated in. Now, names like this, you're going to do far better just buying and holding. Because if you go back 6 years, the thing was a couple bucks. So it's pretty hard to beat that, buy and hold, when the asset itself appreciated 25,000% or something like that. Either way, winners remain winners for a long time. I think we got the wave 3 set up here. So this is wave 3 of 3. I think that just completed here at 302. They get above 302, then you got something else. And ideally, this is what the bulls want. They want to pull back, because if they'd kept going, this trade would be over right now at 345. They could push to 345. I'm sure they could. They got this flag posture. But what you want to see is this building of resistance, then a breakdown, a pullback into this breakout area, the former all-time high, 282, this general area, the fib, etc., the rising 20, the rising 40, pull back, then rally up to 400 even. So I'm looking to add any dips. When SPY hits resistance, EMPH will pull back. Those are the dips that you need, that I will be buying. That's what I'm going to be focused on. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. This is really a journal of what I'm doing. So let's keep rolling through the names that I like. We've got to look at ARK. Again, very, very similar setup here as all the others, right? We're rallying to a declining 40 on the weekly. And the PPO looks very good here. Histogram was negative for 15 months. I don't think people understand that. So, like, when did the bear market start in ARK? Well, it was going on for a year and 14 months. What's the average bear market? I forgot. it's about I think 12 months to 2 years. That's the time frame for a bear market. So this is right in the average. And again, you've got 78% decline with no real retracement. And what do I mean by a real retracement? Where's the 50% retrace? It hasn't happened. Even here. Okay, here you got the 50% for wave 2. But here you didn't get anything. So we'll see. This could definitely be still, this is obviously subjective, right? But something like that could still be in play. But again, it doesn't matter. Like we don't need to guess that right now. What we need to know right now is price got above the 20 and has stayed above the 20 for 2 weeks and is marching higher. And if you look at this, again, I don't know any other way to say it, but she's trying to break out. This is a very, very, very important level. 52.71 and the high from this reversal, 53.90. And if price gets above that, and I'm telling you, the trend here, the 510, what's that look like? How close are all of these moving averages? What is the configuration? The 40s below the 5, the 10, and the 20. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from a short to intermediate term time frame. And guess what? You didn't see that at all. You never saw this look here. You never saw this look here at all during the entire decline. And this is really what happens, right? The market distributes shares up here, declines down, starts to accumulate, and then we'll mark them back up. And that is the process for distributing essentially equities or anything for that matter to retail. That's the whole game. They want you to buy and sell their stuff. So the leader in ARK is CRISPR. Again, this one looks like it's flagging at the 200, which is going to be very, very positive to build a lot of energy to get back above this 95 level. But again, as long as she stays above, as long as the 200, as long as the 510, as this configuration continues to look like it does here on the weekly, this is very, 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 very bullish. ADX is rising with price, PPO momentum, everything. Histogram was negative for a year. Now it's positive, big volume. And now we're above that level. So the selling volume that came in at 75.24 has essentially continued to provide supply, and price continues to close above that supply. Okay, so when demand is greater than supply, it's pushing the price up from this level, right? This range, that 75.24 to 56.34, like they left that. The demand said goodbye to that range. And now they're exhausting all the supply up here at this descending trend line. They're getting the supply. So like if you were going to short this trend line, you would have done it here. Now you're doing it here. It's like, at what point is this off the table? And from where I sit, it's like, I don't want to short this anymore. They already tried. They already shorted it here this week. And really what you're getting is this left shoulder, head, right shoulder look. And again, anything above 83, it's go time. So this trend line is very steep, and the weekly has hit its composite, right, projection. But, ascending channel could certainly stay in this for a long time. There's nothing to say that it couldn't be in this for the rest of the year. So try not to guess. Try not to put all these subjective things on the chart. Just recognize, hey, if price comes down in here, into the $70 range, that's a good buy. If it's at $70 by 823, I'll probably add. And I was just starting to buy here at 75. Oh no, I'm down 10%. Yeah, it's still, the thesis to own this has not changed. So if it changes, we'll see it. We'll see it here. This to me looks like a repair job that just completed. It's just now telling you it's safe to come back in the water. Okay, so let's take a look at performance. I'm going to wrap up this video here. Relative performance going back to Q3. Crocs, which is IWM, and EMPH, which is SPY, are the leaders. Tesla, NVIDIA are half the performance, and that's QQQ, SMH leaders. Bitcoin as well. And ARK is creeping up. What's not working? K-Web, Monster Energy, DBC, or commodities, TNX, gold, bonds, the dollar. They're not working in Q3. I don't care what these people, these macro talking heads say. This is the performance for Q3. And if you don't own the things up here and haven't owned the things up here since the start of Q3, it doesn't matter what macro thesis you have on why you should be piling into bonds right now. You're losing. You're losing. More evidence that it doesn't make any sense to have your money in bonds right now. And that's all I got. I hope you like the content. If you do, subscribe to the channel. We're here every week. We'll see you in the next video.